Hello, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful week. I hope this semester is going by great as we are finally wrapping it up. I know I'm excited to see what all is ahead. My name is Jordan Book. I am a seventh grade social studies teacher in Ohio, and I'm going into my seventh year teaching. My topic specifically for this dissertation, as you all will see, is on privateers, specifically American privateers in the American Revolution, and how they were not only strategic and methodical in their practice, but also relied on intelligence gathering systems that made them so successful throughout the war. Um, I've been drawn to the age of sail since I was a kid, talking with my grandpa about one day buying a sailboat and sailing around the world, and excuse me, different dreams of adventure like that. Of course, having a passion for history, it automatically uh, drew me into something of this topic and wanting to do something somewhat familiar, but also um, a new approach to the history as well. It became a sort of a natural fit. Specifically, the questions surrounding it were how did privateers, specifically during the Age of Sail and the American Revolution to be exact, how did they target certain vessels, choose which ones were appropriate, which ones were economically and financially beneficial, as well as worth the risk? Because the career was, in fact, a dangerous profession that many did not make it back from, and many were forced to choose alternative routes. Um, Along the lines of that main overarching question are the ones that are circling around what exactly is a privateer, what exactly do privateers do specifically throughout a war period, as well as what sort of examples are classified as intelligence in that topic. Um, Specifically, it was significant due to uh, the widespread sort of misunderstanding of what privateers are throughout historiography, specifically early historiography, where privateers were painted almost exactly like pirates, and there being no real separation from the two, which in certain times of history it is pretty difficult to make that distinction. The American Revolution, fortunately, thus far seems to be quite a bit of a difference. Um, and then the other approach that has been kind of a misunderstanding is that privateers were unorganized, chaotic, did not rely on any sort of real strategy. And some historians have even claimed that they didn't really have much of an impact on the war itself. Now, that sort of an approach to the historiography has changed over the last several decades, as more and more studies have revealed that privateers were very effective during the American Revolution. In fact, they were the main competing navy to go against the British Armada, uh, especially until the Continental Congress established official state navies based on the United States. Um, the main type of evidence that was observed in this portion, this is my dissertation topic, so this section for this class was just a small chapter of it, specifically focusing on the types of intelligence that they would have investigated, relied heavily on merchant documents, uh, prize court records, which is where privateers would have to prove that their capture, their prize, was in fact legal, which is what separates them from piracy, as well as um, maritime battle records and personal correspondence. Um, Most of it has been not so much of a case study as a whole, but a study of key individuals, the patterns that they set, and how they related to other privateers as well. Um, all in all, there were three major conclusions, three major types of intelligence gathering that privateers relied upon. The first one being familiarity with coastal waters and sea lanes, knowing which ships traveled which routes. They might not have been able to pick specific ships out, but they would have known when British vessels would have been coming along and from which direction and from which route, making them more efficient. The second set of intelligence would have been, excuse me, a reliance upon the British sources, that being interrogations of British crews that were captured, as well as documents that were recovered before they could have been hidden or destroyed, which has been very interesting in the research. And the final set of intelligence that privateers relied upon would have been the use of intelligence agents from the Continental Congress, specifically the Committee of Secret Correspondence, which would eventually become pretty much a predecessor to the CIA. They were stationed, like Benjamin Franklin, Silas Deane, and William Bingham, throughout the world, some in France, some in Martinique and the West Indies, and they would provide intelligence to specific privateers so that they could be successful. All in all, the evidence proves that most privateers relied heavily upon detailed evidence because they needed to prove their prize, their capture, was legal. If they couldn't prove it, then they didn't earn a reward and they weren't paid. Uh, so going forward, I've learned that from this chapter, this one singular chapter could very easily be broken up into 3 separate chapters, each focusing on each type of evidence gathering. So, uh, thank you. Have a great week.